Today, we're pulling back the curtain on one of the most iconic, mysterious, and let's be honest, undeniably influential figures in post-apocalyptic lore, Robert Edwin House, the man, or maybe more accurately, the machine behind the shimmering facade of the New Vegas Strip.
It's a really fascinating subject. I mean, we're talking about a character who didn't just predict the end of the world with, frankly, chilling accuracy. His story is just this dense knot of genius, profound paranoia, and sheer indomitable will. It's quite something. Starting from, being this pre-war technological titan all the way to becoming this enigmatic ruler who literally watched the apocalypse unfold from his custom-built fortress. And we'll delve into the very foundations of the New Vegas Strip itself, because the truth about Mr. House, it's far stranger, much more layered, and honestly infinitely more compelling than the legends that kind of surround him.
All right, so to kick us off, let's talk about the sheer presence of Mr. House. He's not just a character in the, usual sense. He's the enigmatic, incredibly long-lived proprietor of the New Vegas Strip, an industrialist, a technologist, and above all, a singular visionary, wouldn't you say?
Oh, absolutely. And the titles he gives himself, president, CEO, sole proprietor, they tell you a lot about his self-image right off the bat.
They really do.
And what's truly fascinating here, and I think quite revealing of his monumental ambition, is how he's portrayed in some sources, particularly that note, a tragedy has befallen all mankind. It paints him with these almost messianic strokes.
Right, like he's the savior.
Exactly. Declaring him mankind's only hope of long-term survival. Now, that isn't just confidence, is it? It suggests this profound, almost delusional self-perception. Like he genuinely believes he alone has the foresight and the capability to guide humanity forward.
He acts on it.
Totally. He wields this immense centralized power from the Lucky 38. That tower absolutely dominates the Vegas skyline. It's not just a casino, it's his personal citadel, the ultimate symbol of his control and his almost, divine right to rule this new world he's shaping.
And central to his whole mystique is his incredible longevity. We're not talking about, living a few extra years. We're talking centuries.
Centuries, yeah.
The obituary note, which is, a document from a possible future where he dies, even states, though he did not achieve his goal of functional immortality, let us not forget that he died at the age of 261. How many people do that? I mean, come on. And that lifespan, it fundamentally reshapes the meaning of long-term planning, doesn't it?
It absolutely does. And this extreme longevity, coupled with his almost total isolation, completely transformed him into the mysterious overlord of the Strip. That phrase pops up a lot in loading screens for the area, right? And our sources confirm, for over 2 centuries, apparently no other living person had set foot in the Lucky 38 control room.
Just him and his machines.
Right. It solidified his image as the ghost man of Vegas, this unseen, almost mythical hand guiding the entire region. His very existence, remote, seemingly eternal, detached, became a foundational element of the Strip's power structure. He isn't just an owner. He's the enduring, almost timeless digital monarch of this post-apocalyptic kingdom, watching the world unfold from a perspective few could ever even comprehend.
It really makes you wonder, though, when someone lives that long, wields that much power, how did they get there? And what were they like before the bombs fell? Okay, so before he was the ghost man of the Strip, who was Robert House, let's rewind, go back to his origins. Born June 25, 2020. His early life was marked by this truly unusual, almost, literary tragedy.
Our sources say he was orphaned at an early age when his parents died in a freak accident. Autogyro, lightning.
Yeah, that specific detail always struck me as odd. Autogyro and lightning.
Well, as pointed out in the behind-the-scenes section of that, a tragedy has befallen all mankind. Note, it isn't just a random detail. It's actually a literary allusion.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it pays homage to Vladimir Nabokov's Lolita. The main character's mother dies in a similar picnic lightning accident. So it adds this layer of, curated tragic backstory, almost as if even his childhood was meant to be extraordinary, a literary touch to his personal mythology that kind of emphasizes his unique, almost destined path.
Wow, that's a deep cut. And it gets even more dramatic, doesn't it? Despite being orphaned and apparently cheated of his inheritance by his half-brother Anthony, House was clearly a prodigy. He didn't let that setback stop him for long.
Not at all. Seems like it might have even fueled him. He attended the prestigious Commonwealth Institute of Technology, a major hub of pre-war science, and then at just 22 years old, he founded Robco Industries.
22.
Yeah. And the sources confirm his rapid, almost unbelievable rise. Within 5 years, it was one of the most profitable corporations on Earth. By the astonishing age of 30, he claimed to have amassed a net worth of at least $30 billion.
30 billion. 30.
It speaks volumes, right? Not just about his considerable technical genius and business acumen, but also his immense ambition, his ruthless drive, and this almost singular focus on power and technological dominance, even from such an early age. I mean, imagine that kind of power and influence building a global empire decades before the war even happened.
That's an insane level of wealth and power, even for the pre-war world. But this early betrayal by his half-brother, Anthony, that seems like it must have had a profound psychological impact. It really seems to color how we understand his later actions, especially his deep-seated mistrust.
Oh, absolutely. It's a critical detail. It really lays a foundation for understanding his later paranoia. Anthony's journal entries, the ones you can find on the H&H Tools factory terminal, they reveal his growing, almost frantic paranoia about Robert.
Right, he was scared of House.
Totally. He refers to him as his bastard half-brother and harbors his deep-seated fear that Robert was conspiring to seize the company. Anthony even went as far as activating security systems against these well-perceived threats. And ultimately, he perished alone in his factory, consumed by his own fear.
So that dynamic.
Yeah, this early family dynamic, marked by profound mistrust and perceived betrayal, it paints a chilling picture of House's own potential for deep-seated paranoia. You could almost see it as an early justification, in his mind maybe, for his later extreme control mechanisms, as if he learned this harsh, unforgettable lesson about loyalty and ambition from his own family.
Speaking of control, those H&H Tools factory terminals give us a truly chilling glimpse into Mr. H's pre-war descent into, well, authoritarian tendencies. This wasn't something that just suddenly appeared after the bombs fell, was it?
Not at all. It was brewing, intensifying for decades. These HR emails from a certain Cindy Lou Krebs, they're truly revelatory. They show this progressive, almost pathological tightening of control.
Like what?
Well, by 2020, company policies already forbade cameras in office areas and factory floors, and limited employees to no more than 3 in break rooms. Seemingly minor things, maybe, but indicative of a growing need to monitor and restrict.
Okay.
But then there's the really bizarre stuff. Apparently, all bathrooms had been sealed off and walled over, with staff requested to attend to their needs before or after work hours.
Wait, seriously, sealed bathrooms?
Seriously, it's not just eccentricity, right? It hints at this early, almost totalitarian need for control over his environment and the very personal lives of his employees.
That's deeply weird. And it gets even weirder, more invasive, doesn't it?
Oh, yeah. By 2022, Mr. H was mandating all spoken business be conducted only in English, even with international clients, a clear sign of controlling communication itself. Then, in a truly alarming leap, he institutes random DNA screenings to isolate the traitor gene.
The traitor gene, a genetic test for loyalty. That's nuts. That's a huge escalation from just limiting cameras to monitoring someone's very genetic makeup for perceived disloyalty.
Exactly. But maybe the most outlandish and disturbing rule comes in 2023. Employees had to submit monthly samples of blood, nail clippings, hair, or even skin for monitoring purposes.
Oh.
Yeah, this wasn't just surveillance. It was a profound invasion of personal autonomy. And alongside this, automatic heavy turrets were installed throughout Robco facilities, requiring ID passes to prevent open fire on authorized personnel, which is, a clear implicit threat of force to ensure compliance.
Wow. The progression is chilling. From subtle restrictions to outright physical surveillance, genetic profiling, and the implied threat of lethal force.
And then there's the truly bizarre, the final, almost delusional manifestation of this pre-war paranoia, that suspicious terminal journal entry from 2068, just a few years before the Great War.
What does this say?
It states, if you see Mr. H in the halls, do not make eye contact. Making eye contact with Mr. H will be seen as an attempt to steal his thought energy and will be grounds for immediate dismissal. Yes, even if Mr. H is wearing his special hat.
Steal his thought energy by looking at him.
Apparently. It's not just eccentricity. It's a profound, almost clinical level of paranoia manifesting decades before the Great War. The belief that eye contact could steal his thought energy is a terrifying window into a mind that saw threats absolutely everywhere, even for the most innocuous interactions with his own staff.
It absolutely foreshadows the extreme isolation and comprehensive control he'd later impose on New Vegas, doesn't it?
Totally. It demonstrates that his authoritarian leanings and deep-seated mistrust weren't just a post-apocalyptic survival strategy, they were deeply ingrained traits. He'd already become the ghost man in his own mind, retreating behind layers of control and suspicion long before the world actually ended.
Okay, so we have this brilliant, profoundly paranoid, super rich tech mogul. He's already built an empire and established this like totalitarian level of control over it. What happens when the world is literally about to end? Turns out he saw it coming. But even his genius couldn't account for every single variable.
He did see it coming. By 2065, House was apparently certain that an atomic war would soon devastate the planet. He even predicted it would occur within 15 years.
That's incredible foresight. How?
Well, it wasn't a sudden revelation, it seems. It was the result of years of meticulous data analysis, leveraging his vast corporate resources, his computing power, all that cutting-edge Robco tech. And this certainty led him to dedicate just astronomical resources, specifically from Robco Industries, to protect Las Vegas. He transformed the Lucky 38, which was already a prominent structure, into his personal fortress, outfitting it with advanced laser cannons and networked mainframes specifically designed to defend against incoming nuclear warheads. He even had radar jamming systems and complex life support systems installed, meticulously preparing for the inevitable global catastrophe. He spared no expense, sinking billions into securing his singular vision for Vegas.
But despite all this genius, all this meticulous, multi-billion-dollar preparation, there was that critical miscalculation, a tiny, almost insignificant slip-up that changed absolutely everything.
And one that clearly haunted him for centuries. House's prediction of the atomic war was tragically off by a factor of 20 hours. And that meant the vital platinum chip, his Mark II OS upgrade for his defense systems and his Securitrons, couldn't be delivered to Vegas before the bombs actually fell. Instead, it was left buried in the irradiated ruins of the Sunnyvale, California lab where it was developed, miles away, completely out of his immediate reach.
Wow.
He himself lamented it, apparently, with this almost palpable sense of regret, saying, if only the platinum chip had arrived a day sooner. That agonizingly narrow 20-hour window was the difference between his ultimate vision for a perfectly defended, rapidly rebuilt city and the compromise he'd have to live with for centuries.
And it wasn't just like a minor software update, was it? The Mark II OS was supposed to be a game changer.
Absolutely. It would have transformed his Securitron army from a basic security force into highly intelligent, autonomous peacekeepers, capable of rapid reconstruction, territorial expansion, far more sophisticated defense, all crucial for rebuilding quickly after the war. It wasn't just about defense. It was about the rebirth he envisioned.
That's a real gut punch. All that planning, all that money, all that foresight, and a mere 20-hour window means the most crucial upgrade is lost. But even with the inferior Mark II OS, his defenses still performed astonishingly well, didn't they?
They really did. The scale of what he did prevent is incredible, a testament to his engineering brilliance, even with the older tech. His systems apparently neutralized 68 of 77 warheads targeting the area.
68 out of 77, that's amazing.
It's an almost unbelievable feat. It spared the urban center of Las Vegas and the critically important Hoover Dam from direct hits. People saw it happening, citizens witnessing the green laser blasts, intercepting warheads in the sky. They filled the streets and cheered, thinking they'd been miraculously saved from total annihilation.
But there's a but, isn't there?
There's a huge but. Here's the truly tragic, almost sickening irony, as our sources from New Vegas and Behind the Bright Lights in Big City reveal. The subsequent lethal fallout that blew in from the dozens of warheads that detonated around Las Vegas seeped in over time, ultimately killing all the celebrating citizens regardless.
Oh, no. So they were saved from the instantaneous blast, only to
succumb to a slower, more agonizing death from radiation exposure. A truly horrific outcome to such a monumental, yet ultimately incomplete effort. He saved the buildings, but not the people.
God, that's grim. And what about House himself during this period? How did he weather the storm, trapped inside his Lucky 38 fortress?
The strain of operating with that buggy, incomplete Mark I software, without the Platinum chip's critical upgrade, caused a cascade of system crashes that apparently very nearly killed him.
The systems couldn't handle it.
Exactly. He battled power outages and more system crashes for nearly 5 agonizing years, just clinging to consciousness before finally managing to reboot his data core with an older, more stable OS version. But the immense physical and mental strain, the sheer effort of just keeping his systems barely functional, led him to lapse into a coma that lasted for several decades. Yeah. Which left Vegas dormant and vulnerable, picked over by desperate scavengers, opportunistic wastelanders. His grand vision for a saved city was put on hold, trapped within his failing machinery. A helpless observer in a world he had tried so desperately to control, now just crumbling around him while he slept.
Right. So imagine waking up from a decades-long coma to a world you barely recognize. A world stripped bare, crawling with new dangers, new societies. That's precisely what happened to Mr. House. But his ambition, it wasn't extinguished, was it? Just
Yeah,
delayed.
exactly. His incredible patience, probably born of that extended lifespan he was aiming for, allowed him to wait. He finally regained consciousness in 2138. That's over 60 years after the Great War.
60 years unconscious.
And the world was utterly transformed. But instead of immediately trying to assert control, which you might expect given his pre-war tendencies, he took this very measured, cautious approach. For many years, apparently only occasional Securitrons were sent out from the Lucky 38, just to survey the surrounding wasteland, gather intelligence.
Reconnaissance.
Basically, he wasn't rushing. He was meticulously observing, patiently waiting for the opportune moment, collecting data on the nascent post-war societies, their power structures, their movements. It demonstrates this deep-seated patience, almost a cold calculation, that extends far beyond typical human lifespans. It allowed him to strategize on a multi-generational scale.
And that opportune moment finally arrived in 2274. That's almost 140 years after the war, when NCR scouts appeared at Hoover Dam. That's just an incredible timeline for a single individual to be planning and executing a strategy, waiting over a century for the right pieces to fall into place.
Yeah, really is staggering. And that marked a crucial turning point, recognizing the emergence of a relatively stable post-war society in the form of the new California Republic. House swiftly put his plan to resurrect Vegas into action.
Okay, game on.
Pretty much. He deployed an army of Securitrons to secure the Strip, clearing out any existing threats, raiders, whatever. And then in a move that was both, let's say, pragmatic and deeply cynical, he began recruiting. But he wasn't looking for pristine, morally upright citizens to rebuild Vegas.
No, he was looking for something else.
He was looking for pliable power. For individuals, or rather groups, he could control and integrate into his vision.
And this is where the origins of the three families get really interesting. We're talking about the supposed high rollers, the respectable casino owners of the Strip, right?
Yeah.
The chairman, the omertas, the white glove society.
The pillars of New Vegas society.
Yeah, but their past is anything but glamorous. It reveals the truly brutal foundation upon which New Vegas was actually built. He essentially took the chaos of the wasteland and just rebranded it for his own ends.
That's a good way to put it. House didn't recruit upstanding citizens or, skilled casino operators. He negotiated with the three largest tribes that had settled in the ruins of Vegas. These were groups that were often descendants of vault dwellers mixed with hardened raiders and tribals.
Not exactly the high society types.
Far from it. He offered them luxury, protection, a place on the glittering Strip in exchange for their absolute allegiance and their help in renovating and maintaining the city. But this wasn't some benevolent gesture. It was a cold, calculated consolidation of power, turning potential threats into assets, wrapping brutal power in this thin veneer of old-world civility.
And these tribes were, well, let's just say they were rough around the edges. That might be putting it mildly.
Extremely mildly. The Omertas, for instance, who now run the notorious Camorra Casino, they were originally known as the Slitherkin, infamous throughout the wasteland for backstabbing and betraying anyone and everyone.
Charming. Hardly the image of sophisticated, trustworthy casino operators, are they? Makes you wonder how deep that ruthlessness still runs beneath the suits.
Then you have the White Glove Society, presiding over the opulent Ultralux. Their past is perhaps the most shocking revelation. They were an unnamed cannibal tribe. They apparently agreed to House's terms only on the condition that he swear to keep their former identity a secret and that they would attempt to abandon their, dark cravings.
Attempt. Wow. Imagine the high-stakes glamour of the Ultralux and then trying to reconcile that with the chilling reality that its founders were literally a cannibal tribe, forced to suppress their darkest urges for House's grand vision. That's disturbing.
Deeply. And finally, the chairman, who operate the iconic Tops Casino. They were originally the Mojave Boot Riders.
Mm-hmm.
Our sources reveal they initially destroyed the envoy that met them, demonstrating their inherent violence, before being basically cowed into submission by a larger Securitron force showing up.
So violence, betrayal, cannibalism. These are the foundations House built New Vegas on.
It's a stark, almost visceral reminder that New Vegas's glittering facade, its promise of order and prosperity, is built on a foundation of raw, brutal power and incredibly cynical manipulation. He took the most cutthroat, violent tribes he could find and just rebranded them.
That's a chilling demonstration of his whole libertarian dictator philosophy in action, isn't it? It's not about morality or ethics for him. It's about control, utility, and achieving his vision no matter the cost.
Absolutely. The New Vegas source explicitly calls him, effectively, a libertarian dictator creating his own version of paradise rooted in the old world. Now, libertarian dictator, that sounds like a paradox.
How does that work?
Well, House's philosophy seems rooted in the belief that true freedom, particularly economic and technological advancement, unfettered by bureaucracy or messy democracy, can only really flourish under the absolute guiding hand of a visionary, like himself, natural.
He sees democracy as inefficient.
As a failed experiment, yeah. Inherently inefficient, prone to self-destruction. In his Libertopia, as the source calls it, it's a place where the strong rule unfettered for as long as they stay strong, and where the weak are continually trampled underfoot.
Sounds harsh.
It is. He offers the dream that someday you could be one of the strong, but it's a brutal transactional form of governance. Power and profit supersede morality. Economic and technological progress are the goals, and the methods are not up for discussion. This isn't a democracy. It's a kingdom built entirely on his terms, offering the illusion of opportunity, but always with the certainty of his ultimate control looming overhead. The platinum chip's pursuit, and a deeply personal betrayal.
Okay, so New Vegas is established. It's rather questionable families are in place, and there's this semblance of order and prosperity back on the Strip. But House still had that massive 2-century-old loose end hanging out there, the platinum chip. This was clearly more than just a piece of tech for him, wasn't it?
Oh, much more. It was the key to unlocking the full potential of his ultimate vision, not just for the Strip, but potentially for the entire Mojave and beyond. His quest for it was monumental, truly a multi-million-cap, 2-century-long endeavor.
2 centuries searching for one computer chip.
It's incredible persistence, right? This massive expenditure ultimately paid off in 2281 when the platinum chip was found after 204 years in those irradiated ruins of Sunnyvale, California. Finally. And this chip wasn't just a luxury item he wanted. It was still absolutely crucial for upgrading his Mark I Securitrons to the Mark II OS. As we talked about, the Mark II would have transformed his defense forces into these advanced units capable of rapid reconstruction, maintaining order far more effectively, and expanding his influence. It was the ultimate missing piece of his puzzle.
And after waiting over 200 years, he wasn't about to take any chances with its delivery. He set up this incredibly elaborate, almost ludicrously complex plan to ensure it arrived discreetly and safely.
Oh yeah. He wasn't about to let anything go wrong at the last minute. To ensure its discreet delivery, he contracted the delivery of it to the Mojave Express, which seems like a pretty innocuous post-war courier service on the surface.
But it wasn't just a simple delivery job.
Not even close. He arranged this layered plot involving multiple couriers. Most of them were actually carrying miscellaneous junk items just to throw off potential risks, essentially using this complex system of decoys to camouflage the real prize.
Wow. Misdirection on a grand scale.
Totally. And he even paid mercenary teams to screen the routes and eliminate any potential threats beforehand. This meticulous planning, almost to the point of paranoia, really reveals how deeply he understood the value of the chip and the potential for others to want it, especially given his own early experiences with betrayal from his brother.
But despite all that, all the decoys, the mercenaries, the plan was thwarted. And by one of his own creations, in a way, Benny. The charismatic and cunning leader of the chairmen, that must have been a crushing blow for House, not just strategically, but personally.
It seems like it was uniquely personal, yeah. It cut much deeper than a simple theft. Our sources indicate that House saw Benny as more than just a casino boss he'd elevated from tribal roots. He apparently considered him a potential protege, maybe even a right-hand man, someone capable of doing things, acting in the world in ways House himself couldn't from his isolated chamber within the Lucky 38.
But Benny had other ideas.
Benny had other ideas, spurred on by that modified Securitron yes man, an AI that basically offered him an alternative path to power, his own path. Benny saw an opportunity to control the Strip himself. He intercepted Courier 6, that's you, the player near Goodsprings, shot you, left you for dead, and stole the chip. His intention? To use it to gain control of the Strip, free from House's influence. It was a power play, absolutely, but also a profound act of disloyalty against the very person who had lifted him up from being a tribal raider.
So when the Courier U miraculously survives Benny's ambush and makes their way against all odds to the Strip, House sees an immediate opportunity, not just to reclaim what was stolen, but also maybe to exact a subtle, strategic form of revenge.
It's a very House-esque move, isn't it? Turning a personal slight, a major setback, into a tactical advantage. A new instrument for his will. House, described as incensed at the betrayal, but ever the pragmatist, immediately begins planning. He starts figuring out how to use your understandable want for revenge on Benny to reclaim the platinum chip at long last.
Using your motivation for his gain.
Exactly. A classic House maneuver. He seems to respect ambition, maybe even when it's directed against him, and he's always ready to adapt his plans, find a new agent, find a new path to achieve his objectives, especially when those objectives are tied to such a deeply ingrained, 2-century-long personal quest for ultimate control.
Okay, so let's talk about the man himself, or what's left of him. What does a 261-year-old technocrat preserved for centuries inside a machine actually look like in the, well, flesh? When you finally get access and find Mr. House in his life support chamber, it's a truly shocking sight, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. It's a stark and pretty unsettling contrast to the imposing, almost ethereal image he projects through his screens and Securitrons.
Yeah, that giant face on the monitor is one thing.
Right. The reality is very different. The behind the bright lights and big city soars paints this vivid, almost grotesque picture. He's described as physically frail in the extreme, his appearance evoking a mummy or skeletal figure.
A mummy.
Yeah. It's not just an old man, he's emaciated to the point of being skeletal, with bones visible under pale, translucent skin crisscrossed by faint blue blood vessels. And, rather disturbingly, long, greasy white hairs sprout from beneath his command helmet and from his sunken cheeks. This is a being preserved, yes, but barely clinging to organic life. It's a stark testament to the extreme, almost horrifying measures he took for survival, sacrificing his physical humanity for extended existence.
And that command helmet, it isn't just an accessory he's wearing, is it? The implication seems to be that it's literally part of him now.
Yeah, the implication is a complete and invasive integration of man and machine, something that goes far beyond just being, plugged into a computer system.
How so?
Well, the source states, House's command helmet is not detachable. It goes on to speculate that the helmet might be bolted right into his skull, like a halo used to stabilize severe neck injuries. Or it might not be a helmet at all, the top of Mr. House's skull having been removed and fitted with transistors and vacuum tubes.
Wow. So his brain is directly wired in.
That seems to be the chilling implication. The ultimate merger of man and machine, blurring the lines between organic life and artificial existence. He essentially sacrificed his physical autonomy, his human presence, for what he believed was functional immortality and ultimate control. It's a chilling visualization of what absolute dedication to technology and survival at any cost can truly look like.
This whole character arc, from genius inventor to reclusive billionaire, being sheeted, building an empire, descending into paranoia, then clinging to life as this literal man in the machine. It feels like it's drawing from somewhere real, doesn't it? It resonates as this powerful commentary on actual historical figures and the intoxicating, maybe corrupting allure of unchecked power.
It absolutely is. It's not subtle, really. Our sources explicitly state that Mr. House is intended as a pulpy, folkloric satirization of the esoteric legacies of Howard Hughes and Walt Disney, a deliberately crafted critique of technocratic ambition and unchecked power, embodying the darker, more excessive aspects of these larger-than-life figures. The writers clearly used real-world urban legends and known eccentricities to build a character that resonates deeply beyond just the game world. It makes you question the very nature of that kind of ambition.
Let's break down the Howard Hughes parallels first, because those seem incredibly specific and make for some truly striking insights.
Oh, they're very direct. Howard Hughes was famously a reclusive millionaire with ties to the real-world Las Vegas Strip, much like House became. The parallels are almost a direct homage, but mixed with satire.
Like what specifically?
Well, House's portrait, the one that hangs in the House Resort in the game, it's apparently based on a real-world photograph of Howard Hughes standing in front of a Boeing 100A aircraft. The Lucky 38 itself, his iconic fortress/casino. It was inspired by the Stratosphere Las Vegas, a hotel once owned by Hughes.
Oh.
And House's physical appearance in his chamber, that mummy-like appearance with long, sharpened index fingernails and a wild beard. That directly reflects Hughes's radical change in appearance later in life due to his extreme reclusiveness and physical decline. Oh, and even Jane, his flirtatious Securitron companion. That's apparently a direct reference to the actress Jane Russell, who famously worked for Hughes's RKO production company.
Okay, so that's Hughes. What about the Disney connection? That seems less obvious at first glance, maybe, but you said it's thematically just as potent.
Yeah, the Disney connection is more thematic, less about direct visual parallels, but it's equally pointed and critical, I think. House's grand project of preserving the Strip as an autonomous city-state, his meticulously planned and controlled paradise. The experimental prototype community of tomorrow. Disney envisioned it not just as a park, but as an idealized, self-sustaining city of tomorrow, entirely under the control of the Disney Corporation. Free from municipal politics, free from the messiness of public governance.
Ah, okay. A controlled utopia.
Exactly. Both House and Disney envision this controlled, technologically advanced utopia under their personal, singular guidance. And, of course, there's the more obvious parallel. House's life support machine directly echoes that pervasive urban legend that Disney's brain, or even his whole body, was cryogenically frozen after his death.
Right, the frozen head myth.
Yeah, it's a deep-seated cultural myth about the quest for immortality through technology. It's a powerful, almost unsettling association that makes you question the cost of such ambitious, controlling visions. Can a perfect city truly be perfect if it's designed and governed entirely by one individual's will, especially one preserved artificially?
So Mr. House isn't just some generic video game villain or eccentric boss. He's a complex commentary on these real-world figures who sought to control the future through technology and immense wealth. A kind of cautionary tale about where unchecked power and singular ambition can ultimately lead. He truly believes he's saving humanity, doesn't he? But you have to ask, at what cost?
At what cost to individual freedom, to human dignity, or even to the very essence of what it means to be human when you become, well, that?
Yeah.
He embodies that idea that democracy is a failed experiment, and that autocracy, in the hands of a technological and economic visionary like himself, is the only real path forward. It's a fascinating and chilling reflection on the pursuit of progress and survival at any cost. It's a deep dive into the kind of hubris that believes one person, one singular vision can save us all, even if it means ruling from a life support chamber, a desiccated king on a neon throne, perpetually detached from the messy reality of the very people he claims to protect.
From his peculiar childhood tragedy and early corporate genius, through his pre-war descent into profound paranoia, and then his post-war emergence as this self-styled libertarian dictator. His story is just one of unwavering ambition and incredible foresight, isn't it?
It really is. But it's also marred by these critical flaws, these moments of almost tragic irony, and some deeply questionable ethics along the way.
Definitely. We've seen how his meticulous preparations saved the buildings of Las Vegas from direct atomic hits, but also how that tiny 20-hour miscalculation led to this widespread, agonizing death from fallout and set him on a 2-century quest for the platinum chip.
Right. He genuinely seemed to believe he was mankind's only hope. But you have to keep asking, at what cost? To the very humanity he sought to preserve. And at what cost to those individuals who fall under his absolute digital rule?
It's a heavy question.
It really is.
Yeah.
And it raises an important question for you, our listener, to maybe ponder. In a world shattered by catastrophe, where chaos reigns supreme, is a figure like Mr. House, this libertarian dictator, a necessary evil? Is that kind of absolute control required for survival and progress, providing order and a vision for the future?
Yeah.
Or is he simply a new, more technologically advanced form of tyranny, no matter how shiny and sophisticated his paradise on the Strip might appear? Is it still tyranny, even if it comes with neon lights and Securitrons? Something to mull over, I think, as you contemplate the future of any wasteland, real or imagined.